Welcome to the Irwin Center for Texas basketball, presented by Bud Light, as Texas tries to get back to 500 and move to 11-0 all-time against UT-Arlington. But hold that thought, because in the words of head coach Scott Cross, the Mavericks have something special brewing. In a span of 4 days, UTA beat the Buckeyes in Columbus and the Tigers in Memphis. The win in Columbus, the first for a non-conference opponent against the Buckeyes since 2008. Against Memphis, the Mavericks relied on the skills of Kevin Hervey and Eric Neal. Hervey with a double-double, 22 points and 11 rebounds, and Neal running the show with 13 points and 3 assists. With that, welcome courtside. I'm Logan Lindo here with Lance Blanks. Lance, we talked to Coach Cross before the start of the game. He said if his guys come in with confidence, there's no reason they can't come away with a W here. What does Texas need to be careful of when it comes to this UTA team?
A very good ball club that doesn't play jerseys. They play people, and they've proven that with this early record against some very formidable and good opponents.
Also coming off a win against Rice, where Coach Cross says they finally got their offense going. Defense was an issue for Texas in the final loss in the Bahamas against Michigan. They went 1-2 there. The freshmen, all three of them, varying degrees of success there. But tonight, what do they need from the freshmen?
Well, they need Coach Smart to stay with them because these guys have been on opposite ends. Eric Davis really proved to be quite special in the Bahamas, and Tevin Max going the other way, struggling, only making 4 shots this whole season in just about 70 minutes of play. He's got to pick that up, and Coach Smart has to stay with him.
There is Coach Smart. He wants the young guys like Tevin Mack to keep shooting the basketball, even though it's just 4 for 33. He's pointed out this week that Mack and Eric Davis, they have the type of confidence, the spirit about them that he said, honestly, this team is lacking right now.
Yeah, I thought Coach Smart did a great job of not only laying out his plan for this program, but talking about where things are in that press conference that you're referencing. And he needs to, and Coach Smart knows this, he needs to get those guys to embody what he talked about and bring that to the floor each night. And they'll see an uptick in their results.
Ridley versus Hervey for the tip, controlled by UT-Arlington. Players to focus on: number 1 running the point, Eric Neal, and 25, Kevin Hervey. As Neal starts off with a drive and a kick, Drew Charles back iron with the rebound. Hervey, this was a point of emphasis for the Texas staff coming in. Limit the rebounding for UT-Arlington, one of the better offensive rebounding teams in college basketball in the early going.
Well, beyond their rebounding, their other statistics don't really jump off the page at you, but Hervey, his genius is knowing where to be and how to rebound the basketball.
Second attempt for Drew Charles is true, and UTA working off the second chance points, 3-0 lead.
Yeah, you just can't give them those second chance looks, especially considering they're not a great three-point shooting team, only at around 27-28%. But when you get a lot of looks at it, Lowell, you can knock those down eventually.
And we saw Michigan shoot the lights out, 56% from 3 in the final game in the Bahamas, in a win for Michigan. 4 on the shot clock. Taylor passes off to Lambert. He beats the buzzer, rebound, and put back by DeMarcus Holland.
Texas benefiting from the zone defense. That's one of the...
And they show press, and Felix is able to force the travel on Hervey.
Yeah, on that rebound, when you're in a zone defense, no one has an assignment of who they should block out. You're basically guarding areas. And here you see they're in the zone. Lambert gets the ball up. They give up the offensive rebound. Good job by Texas. Crash those boards when the team's playing a zone like UT-Arlington is.
So both teams scoring their first buckets on second chance opportunities.
And just as quickly as I say that, now they're in a man.
Motor for Taylor, no good. Ridley got the rebound. It was batted away by Neal. Ball will stay with Texas.
Yeah, Ridley's got to keep that ball up. He can't bring it down. Where Neal, the smallest guy on the court. Keep that up, especially around the rim.
This UTA team, they are scrappers. I don't know if any individual part of this team stands out, but you see them play as a collective, and it is impressive.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier, Lowell, I thought it was a great point. Their whole is better than the sum of its parts.
10 on the shot clock. Felix pulls. Got it. Felix is coming into his own. Felix went 8 of 15 from the field, 5 of 9 from three-point range in 3 games in the Bahamas.
Yeah, and I think Felix, he can be streaky, but he is definitely Texas's most consistent three-point shooter, and don't need him to make shots to keep the floor open inside.
Hervey no good on the three-point attempt. Rebound Felix. Transition pull-up. Holland's got it. He's got 4, and Texas has the 5-3 lead.
Yeah, how about UT
7-3 checked out.
Getting the ball out and putting pressure right back on UT offensively.
Hervey and Taylor fighting for the rebound. It's saved by UTA. And the dish from Hervey to Jalen Jones goes down 7-5. Texas still with the lead.
This UT-Arlington team has been very impressive, especially against bigger schools. And they just play their system. They don't play jerseys, or they're not overwhelmed by playing against bigger opponents such as the Texas. They just do what they do, and they're very determined and committed to their process.
Team that was picked 8th by the Sun Belt coaches before the start of the season. There was an inside touch for Ridley, and he makes the kick, and Connor Lambert hits from three-point range.
I think these early threes are big for Texas. Let's see if they can feed off of that momentum. A lot of times when you make those early shots, it can breed confidence through the whole team in terms of shooting.
Texas 2 of 3 from three-point range. Felix and Lambert with makes, and Texas has hit 3 straight. Holland checking Neal. Neal pulls up, hand in his face, no good. And a foul called on Hervey as he pulled away from Felix from that potential rebound.
Yeah, Neal puts up the 3. He's their best three-point shooter. They'll need to find him on the offensive end, especially behind the arc. There you see the face guard. I thought that's an example of one of those touch calls that Texas has been struggling with here in the early season in terms of getting a feel for what's going to be called and not called.
Freshman into the game. Holland out of control. Did he lose the rock? I say it's coming back to Texas. Texas feeling it in the early going. DeMarcus Holland pull up in transition. Horns up 10-5. Lo Galindo here with Lance Blanks and Jane Slater. Texas with the early lead, 10-5 over UT-Arlington. And Jane, we just saw the Big 12 newcomer of the week enter the game, Eric Davis.
Yeah, Eric Davis Jr. substitution early. You know, Shaka Smart said early on it seemed like his freshman was in a bit of a freshman fog. He says that can happen for some of these young guys. When I talked to Eric Davis Jr. about that, he said it's true. When he came onto campus, he was struggling with all the academics, the time management, the speed of the game. But he said it really started to click in the Bahamas. It also clicked with Coach Smart in the summer. Right after Rick Barnes came in, he had committed to him, but Smart called him and said, you know, open up the process. Make sure you want to come to Texas. He invited him to come visit him in Saginaw. He said after spending some time with Coach Smart, he called him as Smart was heading up on that plane and say, I commit to Texas. I'll be enrolling in classes this summer. Guys, back to you.
And Texas is glad to have him. Again, this was your leader. 15 points per game, while averaging only 22 minutes per game in the Bahamas in those 3 games, Lance.
Yeah, he was great in the Bahamas, and I thought he did a good job of not getting outside of himself after he had the early good games in the Bahamas, and he's just been consistent and followed it up with good games. Let's see if he can bring it back to Austin here, have a good game at home.
Turnaround from Ridley, no good. Point of emphasis for this Texas team, more touches for Big Ken.
I think Texas early here has shown, early in their season, if you will, that they're going to involve these big guys, namely Ridley. He gets a lot of touches when he's on the floor.
And it's easy to see why they want him to shoot more. 74% shooting for the big fella. Turnover there. That one forced by Jorge Bilbao. Good matchup with Hervey and Lambert. Hervey off the mark. Heads up play those. We almost saw Charles able to get that one away from Lambert.
I thought that last offensive possession by Texas, Ridley got the ball. UT-Arlington did a great job of running different people at him and not giving him a clean look. He didn't know whether to pass, shoot, or dribble. Wasn't sure if they were double teaming or not. And that's something that UT-Arlington does. They really switch up their defense and keep offensive teams off balance. Here you see they're in a full court pressure, not necessarily a press. This is an example of keeping a team off balance, or trying to, if you will.
You see Kerwin Roach running the point. Shaka Smart said on Monday that he's playing much better at this point when he's on the court with Isaiah Taylor as he throws that one away. Faith Pope with the steal.
Faith did a great job there. Young kids will know this at home. Keep the hands up and active and taking away that passing lane. Here, it looks like there's a passing lane, but there Pope gets the hand up. And that's just a freshman mistake from an offensive perspective. You can't just lob a pass up. You got a team as good as UT-Arlington.
Eric Davis picked up the foul on the other end. UTA trying to spread Texas out. Faith Pope, the three, and he hits.
Yeah, you mentioned spreading out low. That's what they do. They get you spread out. A lot of times run high pick and rolls and find the open men around the arc. Very good at keeping the floor open. Spacing is critical for this UT-Arlington team.
So Pope comes in, has an early steal and a three-pointer. In only 17 minutes at Ohio State, Pope came up with 11 points. 8 on the shot clock. Pull up from Davis, no good. Prince Ibeh keeps that one alive.
Yeah, and I think that's the kind of thing Prince is excellent at doing. Getting hands on balls and just filling in those loose gaps on the offensive end.
Foul trouble has been the issue. Connor Lambert, too strong. Charles in transition, and able to get that one to go. We've got a tie game, knotted up at 10.
Texas is going to have to get floor balance. I've seen Charles leak out a few times here early in this game. They look for easy baskets.
Prince in trouble. Bill Bauer with the pressure. 5 on the shot clock. Lambert passes up to Davis. Corner three looked like it was going to go, but finds a way to rim out. Charles open in the corner. Too strong. Rebound Pope, but Ibeh is there. But another second effort by Pope, and UTA with the lead.
Yeah, good term, second effort. This UT-Arlington team is relentless. Both on both ends. There you see them diving on loose balls.
7-0 run for UTA. Make that a 10-zip run as Kevin Hervey hits from three-point distance, and it's 15-10, UTA with the lead. Kevin Hervey, his coach compared him to Dirk Nowitzki and the way they use him, and we see why. 10-zip run, UTA with the early lead. UTA up on Texas, 15-10. There's a look at Scott Cross. Believes that this team has something special with the chemistry that they built on a summer trip to the Bahamas. Compared it to this team going to Vancouver 4 years ago, building up chemistry there, and what started what was the best season in program history for UTA.
And this team, you can see they're role acceptors. Everyone accepts their role willingly, which allows you to get a lot done as a team.
Hey, what were you saying about Tevin Mack shooting?
I said he's never seen a shot he doesn't like, and he's got a coach who supports that.
And that's why. Hervey the kick. Pope misses the three. Rebound by Nick Pallas. Cam Ridley there for the swat. Isaiah Taylor back in the game. Javon Felix with him. You see more scoring on the court. And Javon, deep three. Ridley with another rebound.
Yeah, and Texas early here has done a great job of giving UT-Arlington a taste of their own medicine in terms of spreading them out and getting offensive rebounds and second chances.
Cam Ridley working on Pallas inside, and one for Big Cam. So UTA had the run, but Texas respawns. Ridley will be on the line when we return.
Texas men's basketball on Longhorn Network is presented by Bud Light. Make the right call. Drink responsibly.
Texas up on UTA 15-14, but the Mavericks starting hot, Lance.
Oh, yeah, and they're starting different. I mean, they get baskets in assortment of ways. Here you see a little run out by Charles leaking out. Then you see the rebound, the offensive rebound, and then gets a block and puts it back. And then, of course, Hervey's got the green light and knocks down the three. You've got to find people, Lowell, and find them fast because everyone on this team has the green light. You know, they play through Neal and Hervey. Everybody knows that. But the supporting cast often gets to take the lead in terms of opportunities to shoot the basketball.
So we were saying tie game a little earlier, but they ruled Hervey's three as a two. If you look at the replay, it's clearly a three-pointer, both feet behind the line. So Texas taking advantage of that. They hold a 1-point lead. Now 2 points with Cam completing the three-point play. Pressure from Texas.
How about this? This just shows confidence in this team. Not afraid to take Hervey out early.
Neal as well.
And allow the support, exactly, good call, and allow the supporting cast to get it done.
So Jalen Jones is going to the line. Let's take a look at what we were talking about with Kevin Hervey. This is the shot he made that they ruled a two. What you can see from that replay, it's clearly a three-pointer.
Just breaks of the game. We'll have to notate that for later on, because I got a feeling UT-Arlington is going to stick around tonight.
Jalen Jones at 15 points in the upset win against the Memphis Tigers. Misses the first, makes the second.
Yeah, and here they're in an all-out press. They're going to try to deny Taylor, get the ball out of his hands here early.
Kendall Yancey back in the game for Texas. Last time we were here at the Irwin Center, suffered a concussion against Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Did not play in the Bahamas. Practice full contact for the first time yesterday, and obviously cleared to play in this one. And you see all the blue jerseys around Cam Ridley as Tevin Mack off the mark. Something Cross said they wanted to take away Ridley as much as possible. Jones hitting the three as Javon Felix tried to close out.
Yeah, this is small ball at its best.
Felix with the rebuttal.
And Texas is going to have to rebuttal a lot of times tonight, particularly when they have the ball offensively. They got to be aggressive and look to take and make three-point shots to keep that floor open for Ridley inside, especially with a lineup like this on the floor.
Felix 2 of 3 from three-point range. It's a 1-point Texas lead, just under 10 minutes left to go in the first half. Tallis initially stripped by Isaiah Taylor, and he traveled.
Yeah, I like the look here. Felix gets his feet set in the corner. And UTA, just before that rebuttal, as you call it, Lowell, this team is just a confident bunch of guys who has a system, who have a system. And they really know how to play the game, and they're comfortable with one another as they talked about here before the game.
UTA is really giving Texas a little bit of their own medicine in the way they play this game. They're coming out, they are pressing, being aggressive offensively.
Yeah, and here you see Coach Smart goes away from small ball with Lambert on the floor now. Now you've got two bigs for Texas playing a little bit more of a traditional lineup.
How do they get Cam Ridley going?
Well, the difficulty is getting the ball in because they're throwing so many people at him.
Shot clock violation. Eric Davis, the freshman, not aware.
You can't be afraid to throw the ball in, and Ridley doesn't have a whole lot of time before the double team comes. So he's got to be able to post deep and near the basket so he can take advantage of his size.
4 turnovers for Texas.
Both teams are similar in terms of switching up the defenses consistently throughout the game. They don't give the opponent a steady diet.
Hervey back in the game. Nice pass. Will there be a finish? There is. That was Nathan Hawkins with the pass.
Well, they really
Caleb Wilson the finish.
Yeah, they do a great job of exploiting and taking advantage of any opportunity. They really make you pay. There you saw they did it with passing the ball and getting in the right place against the Texas defense.
6 lead changes. The first 11 minutes. UTA taking the lead on that bucket. Ridley is touched. Shot clock winding down. Turnaround. Just gets the side of the rim. Texas struggling to find the flow offensively now.
Yeah, and that's being created by UT-Arlington in the way they're defending this Texas ball club.
Bilbao working on Lambert, up and under. And they're going to get him for the hook. Texas basketball.
Yeah, Texas is playing into UT-Arlington's hands, I think, early in the offense. Here you see UT-Arlington will have a press, so it takes Texas a little time to get the ball up. They get out of Isaiah's hands. And then if Texas isn't aggressive early in the offense, they're forcing them into late clock situations, Lowell, which is putting a lot of pressure on the UT offense.
Taylor has 3 assists, but is yet to hit from the field. Bilbao is there for the steal. Taking that away from Cam Ridley. Deep 3. Hervey.
Wow. Talk about a green light.
Heat check.
Wow.
Neal back in the game.
I mean, that's hard to defend because when you're playing against a group of guys that simply have no rules in terms of how far out or when they can shoot, it's impossible sometimes to defend.
Sharp pass there from Neal. And UTA moving the ball well. Inside to Wilson. UTA up with 7:40 left by 1. Texas basketball back at the Irwin Center on Friday against Samford. Catch that one 8 Central Time on Longhorn Network, the Watch ESPN app. Lance and I will be there bringing the action to you. More notable non-conference games coming up. North Carolina, ranked number 9 in the latest AP poll. Go on the road at Stanford December 19th. UConn just slipping out of the top 25, and Vanderbilt moving up. But right now, Lance, you got to focus on these Mavericks for a non-conference win.
Yeah, Texas has their hands full tonight. I get the feeling right now that the Mavericks own the control of this game, and simply because of the way they were playing. I mean, we saw Hervey a moment ago shoot a 35-foot shot as if it was
no big deal.
Not a big deal. No one even responded. And it's a little bit of a chess match with these coaches to see who's going to blink first.
You got to feel good if you're Coach Cross and UTA, knowing that Hervey, your guy, is 1 of 5 from the field, and you currently hold a 1-point lead. Lambert all over Hervey. Bilbao with the drive. Cam Ridley getting all of that one. And Shaka Smart pleading to send this one the way of Texas.
Yeah, that was a good job there. You see Felix getting set, but I thought that was a good no call. Maybe he could have got an offensive call simply because Felix didn't get squared up.
Fourth block for Texas.
He better get a shot up.
And he did. Oh, my goodness. The trajectory from our angle, that looked like bad news for Texas,
Yeah.
but unfortunately for UTA, that one sails over the backboard.
You know, I think this full court press or pressure that UT-Arlington's putting on Texas is disrupting them at some level and taking them out of a smooth flow in their half-court offense.
Both coaches talk about game of basketball like being a fight. You got to go out, punch your opponent in the mouth, and right now, UTA is the team delivering those blows, and Texas is the team trying to pick itself up off the canvas. No good from Isaiah Taylor, and that one off the hands of Lambert. UTA basketball.
Yeah, and forcing Isaiah to take that three, it just plays right in the hands of UT-Arlington. Isaiah's only made 2 threes. He's shooting 20% from the three-point line. He's really struggling from beyond the arc, and UT-Arlington really doing a good job defensively with this Texas ball club.
Overall, Texas is shooting 41%, but they're just 3 for their last 12. 4 turnovers in that stretch as well. Size mismatch here. Charles has the quickness and uses that, cutting to the basket. Good defense there by Cam Ridley. Roach in transition, Hervey there.
I thought Texas was very fortunate on that last possession. Ridley's got to come over and help a little earlier. Did a good job of not fouling, but I think he's got to cover that rim up a little earlier than he did.
Lambert for 3. Rebound. Bilbao. Neal gets up in a hurry. Mismatch with Hervey on Taylor. Good ball movement. Jones in and out. Rebound Cam Ridley.
They're such a willing passing team, but Texas got to take advantage of this.
Davis out of control. Going to call out for a charge.
Exceptional floor balance, and this is something that doesn't show up in the stat sheet beyond the charge here. But look at that floor balance. Neal gets all the way back and gets his feet square, and that's the job of a point guard, to get back and not allow easy transition.
Are you seeing the fight in Texas right now? Do they look like mentally they are in this?
I do see the fight, but I also see a UT-Arlington team who's given the first punch, if you will, in terms of taking control of the game. So Texas is going to have to gain that back in their favor.
And Hervey ends a scoring drought for both teams that went on for more than 3 minutes. It's a 3-point Mavericks lead. Taylor crashing to the rim, and it looks like he's hurt.
Yeah, it looks like he got a bad ankle.
Taylor is down.
Boy, this could be really bad news for Texas. I think he twisted that ankle, and he came down there in the paint. Oh yeah. Oh.
Looks like that right ankle.
Yeah, that right ankle. He twisted that thing all the way to the floor.
So Taylor will go to the bench, and Kerwin Roach will resume the point guard duties. Five and a half minutes left to play here in the first half.
Look at the spacing here, the sharing of the ball.
And it's capped with a 3 by Charles. 7-zip run for UTA. 6-point lead for the Mavericks. Coach Cross wanted confidence. UTA is coming out with plenty of that.
Texas can't be afraid to attack them in the same way that UT-Arlington is attacking this Texas team.
Shaq Claire now in the game. Great position on Bilbao, but he loses the basketball.
Yeah, you got to finish the play. I mean, when you get someone buried that deep, you can't allow them to get around and get a hand on the ball. Shaq did a great job, but he's got to finish it with a catch when he's right under the basket.
5 minutes scoreless for Texas. You saw the energy coming from the UTA bench as Faith Pope was one of the Mavericks players over there scrambling for that loose ball.
Yeah, they play every single play, both offensively and defensively. They're not afraid to get in passing lanes, get on the floor and do what they have to do to execute. Very impressive Arlington team here early.
Moving the ball well.
Look how spread the floor is.
Hervey the pull-up.
Whoa.
And this is not a fluke, as you mentioned off the top of the show.
Well, this is a very good ball club. Attack.
Bilbao knocks that away from Prince Ibeh, but out on the Mavericks.
And see, Lowell, if Texas is not going to attack once they break the press, here you see, look at this floor spread. Look how far in the spacing. come find the open area, knock down the easy basket.
Hervey's now made 2 in a row. Texas does not want to see him get hot. Felix, they'd love to see that happen. Faith Pope scrambling for the rebound. Holland ties him up. We've got a timeout called by the Mavericks.
This 8-point lead. Texas has to be careful here because this Arlington team is controlling this game low. I think we got a big one with the Horns trailing by 8.
Texas men's basketball on Longhorn Network, presented by Bud Light, is brought to you by Whataburger. Bite into something new. Introducing Whataburger's Buffalo Ranch Chicken Strip Sandwich for a limited time only.
UT-Arlington trying to do to Texas what they did to Ohio State and Memphis, and they're doing it with points off turnovers, 8 of those, and they lead this game by 8, Lance.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why their stats don't jump out at you, because this is the way they play. They play a scrappy brand of ball. There you see the steal, and then they're relentless in their attack. Look at this one-man secondary break. He holds up Neal and then gets the look.
Neal, another one of those deep threes. He gets the offensive rebound. And that one slips out of the hands of Bilbao.
And then emotionally, every play, there's almost no reaction to a missed shot or a turnover, as you see there.
Great point.
They immediately, mentally transition into whatever they're doing next. And in this case, it's putting that press back on Texas. They've really controlled this game, I feel, from the opening tip.
They have an 8-point lead, and their 2 leading scorers have combined for 6 points. All of those from Hervey. Neal has yet to score. Felix drawing the foul.
Yeah, Texas has got to remain in attack mode once they break the first wave of this press. If they don't, it's like giving UT-Arlington a second chance at them offensively to dictate what Texas should do.
Isaiah Taylor back into the game. Apparently that right ankle checking out well. Taylor spinning, losing the handle, fighting to get it back. Roach thought about the shot, now drives, and he draws the foul.
Yeah. Texas has to take advantage of the new rules, if you will. And they're going to call that foul if you're comfortable driving the ball in the seams, getting into the lane.
And Coach Smart told his guys in shoot around today, we want to beat them on the glass and getting to the free throw line. So far, UTA with a 17-11 edge rebounding, and they've been to the line twice. Texas only once. A surprise considering the amount of fouls that we've seen in the early going.
Yeah, it's just UT-Arlington, as we talked about, they're just very scrappy and they gang rebound.
Yeah.
They gang rebound the basketball as a group. And we talked about the whole being better than the parts. I mean, even Hervey, as good as he is, and Neal, who are the 2 best players, they play within the context of what the team does, which is a rarity when you have 2 players as good as they are and as mean as much as they do to their team.
And the bonus, Texas shooting 1-1 from the line. Kerwin Roach misses a free throw attempt.
Another area Texas has got to improve, that being from the free throw line.
Hervey unleashes another deep 3, but UTA able to get the putback. Wilson and Bilbao were there.
I mean, that's what I mean. You can't have them beating you to the ball this frequently and expect to be in the game.
Oh, no! Kerwin Roach did it again.
Oh, baby, that was big time low. That's what I mean by attack the basket.
Will that be the spark that Texas needs? Rebound, Taylor. Transition 3, Tevin Mack. What rebound? Kerwin Roach.
Attack.
Second effort, Felix gets it to go. Texas had missed 6 shots in a row. Hawkins, transition 3, Cam Ridley the rebound, and we've got a spark. Signs of life at the Irwin Center.
Yeah, the spark of havoc here, and Texas can't be afraid to stay in attack mode.
Falik sent it out, rebound, Bilbao. It's now a 6-point game, final 2 minutes. And Scott Cross wants to talk about it.
Yeah, I thought the game got a little chaotic, but that's okay. Texas has to remain with this kind of aggression if they intend to stay in this game tonight. Boy, that's a big-time finish. That's a next-level finish. That's how you break a press.
He had to reach down to get to the basket.
Yes, he did. Over and down.
And that was a spark that Texas needed in so many ways. They'd gone 7 minutes without points. Yet Roach gets it going. We need to see this again. We saw this in the exhibition, but that's just an exhibition. This one counts.
But the dunk is the finish. I personally like the attack mode. Before this, Texas was holding up on the press, just breaking the press and not being aggressive. And that's emblematic of what they need to do collectively going forward against this press. Big time play.
Put it in the top 10. You got 2 votes right here. Eric Davis, you can see him on the bench, providing a little juice there. Cam Ridley. It's a SWAT UTA with the foul. So Texas picking up the defensive intensity.
It's always fascinating to me how one play can change an entire game in terms of momentum.
And that was Roach.
Great job by Roach coming over, help side defense, gets his feet set outside of the semicircle and draws the charge.
Texas will retain possession. 1:43 left to go. We'll see now how UTA responds after this wave of momentum from the Texas Longhorns.
Well, they're staying with this pressing defense, which Texas has struggled with. You got to go.
This is what you've been talking about. Tevin Mack throws it away. Jalen Jones with the steal. 8 turnovers for Texas. Neal has yet to score. Until now, gets off the board. First bucket for Eric Neal, second leading scorer, 14 points per game.
Boy, and he plays with great pace. This is a good matchup for Isaiah to try to win tonight.
Tevin Mack floater, good.
Love that. Texas has got to stay in attack mode. Their offense starts in the backcourt, and once they get that mindset, I think they can get back in this game and take control of it.
Final 50 seconds of the first half. Neal pulls from 3. Roach soaring for the rebound.
Yeah, it's just no such thing as a bad shot for this UT-Arlington team.
Roach is going to go to the line nearly. Had an opportunity for a 3-point play. So we've seen this so many times. It is Snoop Roach, summer workouts, soaring. I don't know if there was enough notches on that pole right there.
Clearly there weren't.
Vertical from Kerwin Roach.
Yeah, and it's basically the same jump at a different angle that we saw there. A lot of times guys, Lowell, are good jumpers or good leapers, but they're unable to transition that into play. And so we see, obviously, that's not the case with Kerwin. He has the ability to use his jumping ability in the context of a basketball game.
We could see that for Texas track and field. He is a state champion here in the state of Texas in the triple jump.
Yeah, he has world-class athleticism, and that is obvious from the dunk and from what we saw there with the measurement on his jump in practice.
Roach hits them both. A lead that was once 10 for UTA, now down to 4 with 29.4 on the clock. UTA can hold for the final shot in the first half.
Texas has got to rotate here because UT-Arlington does a great job of getting you spread out. Look how spread this floor is.
9 on the clock.
Very difficult to deal with.
Neal working on Roach, the floater. And Roach with the defense and the rebound. To Holland, they will not get the final shot off. But Texas closes the half on an 8-2 run that started with the emphatic posterization from Kerwin Roach. Let's go down to Jay Slater with the head coach, Shaka Smart.
Coach, Texas seems to be struggling a little bit against the press rather. How do you combat that?
Well, we got to be more aggressive. I think all around, when we're tentative, it gives them the advantage. We had some possessions where we got our aggressiveness going and good things happen on both ends of the floor, but we're respecting the press too much. If you got 2 guys on you, either attack it or pass it out of it.
You talk about playing aggressive. What did that Kerwin Roach dunk do for this team offensively?
Well, I think, it woke everyone up in here, and I think including our team. And so now what we have to do is build on that and have a level of understanding that that's one aggressive play. Now we need another one. Now we need another one. We need to put them together.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.
Guys, back to you.
Well, honestly, it woke us up a little bit too, Lance. Let's see it again.
Building up.
I mean, we love the 3-point attempts, but this is what the people have come for. Snoop Roach doing that in traffic. Beautiful night here in Austin, Texas. A pretty entertaining first half of basketball inside the Irwin Center as well. It's 31-27 UTA. Lowell Galindo here with Lance Blanks. We told people off the top of the show, this is a dangerous Mavericks team that has won on the road at Ohio State, won on the road against the Memphis Tigers as well. How have they managed to build a lead here in the first half against Texas?
Well, they spread Texas out, and defensively they created turnovers for themselves, and they stayed aggressive at every level, Lowell. I mean, here you see, this is the type of scrappiness I'm talking about. Hervey, the star of the team, makes the right play, end up with layup. Look at that, bodies falling on the floor. Again, getting Texas spread out on the floor, and then they're relentless in their attack to score the ball when going back the other way.
Texas trailed by 10. They needed something with 3 minutes left in the half, and they found more than that. They found one of the best dunks that we've seen this year.
Yeah, and the dunk was impressive. It was a next-level dunk. It was the finish, but it's the aggression that I like. There you see it for Leaks. Not as impressive as the dunk, but impressive in itself. And then you have the young freshman taking the ball to the rim again aggressively. You need that kind of aggression if you're going to match this Arlington team.
Texas closed on an 8-2 run from there. They needed that as Texas was on a 7-minute scoreless drought. And we now are looking at the first half stats presented by Bud Light. What stands out the most to you, Lance?
Well, what stands out to me are the 13 points off turnovers versus the 3. Now, we don't have a stat showing the type of turnovers, but I believe that Texas is having 1, live ball turnovers, and 2, Arlington is more aggressive than Texas in trying to score the ball once they get in their possession, whereas Texas has been taking their time and trying to set the ball up pre-dunk.
So we're at the dunk contest. You have those cards 1 through 10. What are you flipping here?
I'm flipping 11.
11. You're going to find the one as well. I love it. Scott Cross is 5 wins away from becoming the winningest coach in UTA history. The focus, though, closing out another W against the power opponent here, the Texas Longhorns. For more, here's Coach Cross with Jane Slater.
Coach, ahead of this one, you said the only way that you guys are going to beat the Horns is if you guys came in here confident. You played that way in the first half. How do you sustain it in the second?
Our guys played very aggressive. We've got to continue to do that. We did a great job on the boards. Hopefully our guys can continue to block out and crash the offensive boards. Should make for a great second half.
We know Kevin Hervey can be dangerous. They've done a good job of limiting him in the first half. How do you get him more opportunities in the second?
Well, we just got to run our offense through him, try and get short corner touches for him, try and set some pick and rolls for him, let him roll to the basket, and hopefully he'll break loose in the second half.
Appreciate your time, Coach. Good luck.
Jane, thank you so much. Eric Neal still looking to get going. He only has 2 points from the field, but he does have 1 assist. This is a UTA team that has 13 makes from the field, 9 of them off assists. And this is a team that really has the chemistry working for them in the right way right now. Coach Cross told us before the game, he knows it sounds a little cheesy, but this is a team that really came together on the summer trip to the Bahamas. They started on the bus singing "Lean On Me," and they have continued to sing that song as a collective team. Part of the reason why we have seen this group come together, and we see guys like Hervey. He doesn't have to be scoring the basketball to be effective, Lance.
No, in part because of Hervey, Kevin, in part because of their system. And what I mean by that is he's a very good basketball player. He doesn't have to score the ball to impact the game. He's a very good, what I call, hockey passer. The pass before the assist, he's comfortable making. He can also rebound the basketball. He's long arms, long legs, knows where to be on the floor and when to be there. That's a skill set.
Now, did we just get a correction on the three-pointer from Hervey?
No, we got an acknowledgement of the mistake. And I was listening to both you and the official, and the reason they couldn't correct it is because they didn't know about it until the second time out. And they can only correct that call at the first full timeout after the error has been made, and they were unaware of it.
So that's what the officials are doing right now, clarifying that they do realize there was a mistake on this play. This should have counted as a three-pointer from Kevin Hervey, but at the time they called it a 2, and by the time they realized the mistake, it was too late to turn that one over. So even though it's a 4-point lead for UTA right now, it truly should be a 5-point lead for the Mavericks. And as you said earlier, we'll see how that plays out in the final 20 minutes here. Absolutely,
Lo. You got to notate that, because in a game like tonight, I got to believe either team will be hanging around, meaning if UT-Arlington is up, UT is going to hang around the Longhorns. And if the Longhorns are up, the Mavericks are going to hang around. And that point that wasn't acknowledged when the basket was scored could come into play.
So how do you explain this, the ebb and flow with Texas, where we see something like the 7-minute score drought, but then we see him get it going, really with that dunk and a hot start or a hot finish to the first half?
I think it's through aggression. I thought Coach Smart made the point. Okay, the dunk is great, but we've got to follow it up with aggression. I guarantee we'll see a more aggressive Texas team. You see it here as they come out in the second half.
Whipping the ball around. Ridley with a touch in the post, and he's able to get that one down. Ridley with only his second bucket of the game. He's got 5 points.
Yeah, and you see how quick he went. He didn't allow for the double team. And you also saw the perimeter guys driving in the seams. I think we'll see a lot more of that this half.
2-point game. UTA still holding the lead. Hervey driving on Lambert. Ridley with the rebound.
This is one of those rare games, I think, when you get everyone on either team feeling like they should win the game tonight, including coaches.
Felix tries to go glass. Jones with the rebound. Back to Eric Neal. Eric Neal only 2 points in the first half for UTA. Second leading scorer on the season. Backdoor cut. Hervey is there. Doesn't get the dunk, but he's going to go to the line for 2. Connor Lambert with the foul.
And an example of what I mean about him being a smart player. Watch Ridley clear out here. Leaves the lane wide open, so Hervey makes the backdoor cut. And Bilbao with the excellent pass right over the top of Ridley's head. That was created because Bilbao lifted up to the free throw line, bringing up Ridley and creating space for Hervey to make that cut.
And look, this is what you were talking about, Cam Ridley beating the pressures. They bring 3 defenders his way.
Yeah, and he goes quickly, not allowing those defenders to come in and double team him.
Hervey, 89% free throw shooter, gets 1 of 2. Long rebound going the way of UTA.
And a little thing, but also a big thing. There you see them get the extra possession here. Something they're good at. This team is relentless on the boards.
Combine all those little things, it really adds into an impressive product here for UTA.
Exactly, and that's they have to play that way, because you may look at them individually and say, okay, this isn't a very talented team, but when you put them together, we talked about it earlier, as a group, this team is very special, as they're showing with their record.
Javon Felix with the foul. Get out of here, says Cam Ridley. And we're off and running. 2-on-1 break. Taylor with the finish. Give him a free throw as well.
Excellent play, and this is what Coach Smart was talking about, and we talked about in the first half. You got the block, and it's a great block to start a break on. And then he takes the bump. Bilbao goes straight up, but Taylor does a good job of creating the contact and then finishing with the potential for a traditional three-point basket.
First bucket of the game for Taylor, and Ridley got that one the last second possible to avoid the goaltend call. Taylor cannot connect.
And something else to notate is the free throw shooting. Texas has really struggled here all season long from the free throw line.
Shooting 63% from the charity stripe. 302nd in D1. There's 351 D1 teams. That sums it up.
Yeah, just not good enough. And those will mount over time and can cost you games.
And they go to the free throw line a lot. They're the third best in D1 in terms of getting to the free throw line for the amount of shots they take from the field. They're just going and they're not coming up with those free points. Jones corner three, in and out. Gets the rebound again, takes it right at Ridley. Aggressive play there from Jalen Jones. Misses the three, gets the rebound, and he's going right back at the big fella, draws the foul.
Yeah, and just not afraid. Here, this is what they do. They get the second chance here with the rebound. And Jones with the smart play, creating contact. If you are an offensive player right now in college basketball and you create contact, 99% of the time you're going to get that foul. That's what the data is showing here early in the college season with the rules change.
Foul number 2 on Cam Ridley as Jones hits both free throws. Puts the lead back up to 3 for the Mavericks.
And the other thing, what this gives them a chance to do is press anytime they score.
Lambert setting the screen for Holland. Holland takes it all the way, but he's wide right.
He's wide right, but he was aggressive, but you could tell he just didn't have a feel like he believed in it.
Great feed from the driving Drew Charles, leaving it for Bilbao. And Bilbao is on the board.
Boy, Bilbao's a heady player. He just knows where to be on the floor. Really plays his role well, both offensively and defensively. Has good size, too. Good, strong base to deal with Ridley's size.
UTA has taken those punches, and they keep coming back with more haymakers of their own.
Yeah, and here's a switch. They're in a zone now.
Holland drawing contact on Bilbao. He's going to the line for 2.
Yeah, every time they get you spread out, look, you can't even see another blue jersey until he gets to the basket. And then Bilbao, you credit him for the basket just simply for getting in the right spot to receive that ball and finish. This is a very good basketball player who can impact the game in an assortment of ways just by knowing where to be and when to be there.
That's a big foul on Bilbao. That is number 3 for him. He's going to have to go to the bench, and Nick Pallas entering the ball game in his place.
Yeah, this is big for Texas. Let's see if they can take advantage of having Bilbao on the bench.
They're not a big team, but Bilbao is about as big as it gets for the Mavericks, 6'8", 235. And Pallas just a freshman.
Yeah, and Pallas is only averaging about 13 minutes a night.
So Holland goes 1 of 2. 4-point lead for UTA. Taylor on Neal. Neal calling for the screen.
And this is what they do well. Texas doing a great job of pressuring the ball, pressuring pass lanes. Good job.
Defense there from Javon Felix.
Excellent defense, simply because once UT-Arlington gets you spread out, here you see passing that, putting pressure on that pass.
So it looks like Hervey was confused. Lambert had tipped that ball. They say no. Back to Texas.
That's for the double team.
Kicks it out to Davis. Thought about it. Second thought. It's still a good one. Davis puts down the 3, and we've got a 1-point ball game.
Yeah, I like the aggression there. Ridley finds the open man and knocks it down. Let's see what they do now with the double team situations on Ridley on the offensive end.
His first bucket in the game for Davis. Freshman from Michigan. Jones spinning. Ridley there with the defense. Charles gets the rebound, We could be looking at foul number 3 on Cam Ridley.
And Texas just doing a poor job of gang rebounding and finding bodies to block out. Contrarily, UT-Arlington doing an excellent job of gang rebounding, particularly on the offensive end. Texas has got to do a better job of finding bodies and boxing people out.
That is foul number 3, but it goes to Eric Davis.
There you see Charles comes in amongst the Giants and does what you're supposed to do. Anytime you get an offensive rebound, it's one of the best opportunities to aggressively go back and try to score.
Charles at the line, 71% free throw shooter this season. Big part of their team when it comes to the character, the energy that he brings to the court. He's not the biggest guy, but we see him so often in the mix near the basket. Yeah,
and as a team, they're not very big, with the exception of Hervey, who plays a lot bigger than he is because of his long arms, his wingspan.
Lambert for 3, got it. That's something they talked a lot about with Connor Lambert. When you're open, we trust you, trust yourself, shoot it.
Yeah, and I think those last 2 shots, Lowell, that have gone in have been from aggression. You can be aggressive behind the arc, waiting patiently, and when you get an open look, take the shot.
Lambert 2 of 5 from three-point range. Shooting 53% from distance so far this season. 8 on the clock. Hervey, too strong, rebound Felix. Kick out to Roach. No good. Ridley fighting for the rebound over Hervey.
Good look, though. Good look. Good job of Roach getting set. Had an open look, and Texas got the benefit of the second chance here with the great offensive rebound.
Tied up at 38. Double team coming. Perfect timing on that one from Eric Neal. He gets the steal. The kick to Charles. Foul on the floor. But Lambert helping the cause, tying the game with the 3. We're all knotted up at 38. Texas trying to take the lead for the first time since it was 19-18 in the first half.
Texas football.
We're tied up at 38 with 15 minutes to go here at the Irwin Center. And now it's time for In the Net, brought to you by Bass Pro Shops. And Lance, we've got a lunker, courtesy of Kerwin Roach.
Yeah, this guy here really brought the house down. Look, he's coming down.
That's unbelievable.
Send it home.
He is the big fish.
Yeah.
On the 40 acres. True freshman, part of a 3-man freshman class with Tevin Mack and Eric Davis Jr. Future is bright, and they're going to need them in the very near future as you have a lot of turnover about to take place on this Texas roster. Neal, 3-pointer, nothing. But Roach, does he save it in time? Yes, he does, but Faith Pope collects it, gets it to Palace, an opportunity for a 3-point play.
Terrible decision to save that ball into the backcourt. If anything, okay, you see this, you got all these blue jerseys. If anything, throw it ahead where Isaiah is. Throws it right in the hands of Pope, and we know this team, when they turn you over, they look to score aggressively, and that was a perfect example of the way they play when they get a steal.
So Cam Ridley picks up foul number 3. He's on the way to the bench with 5 points and 7 rebounds. Ridley always a large physical presence, but it means so much more to this team than just his sheer size. It's a 15-6 edge for UTA off points, off turnovers.
I think a big part of that, an example, is what we just saw. They really look to score when they turn you over.
So after Palace hit the free throw, it's a 3-point game. Taylor driving right back at you.
Aggression. That, to me, that's this game tonight. Is the more aggressive team's the team that'll win. Here you see, in spite of the zone, he gets right into the seam. Isaiah takes the contact, creates offense all on his own. That's a good job combating that zone, and what they're telling Texas is they want to see people like Isaiah shoot threes, and Isaiah's telling them he's still going to drive the ball into the paint and be aggressive.
And that's where he does most of his work against the Michigan Wolverines, 7 of 9 from inside the three-point arc. So we know he's very good when he gets close to the bucket. And early on, talk about shooting for Texas. Part of the reason why the number isn't all that great, they've missed some point-blank looks this season.
No, they've been a really poor layup team.
Palace kicks it away. Roach for the lead. Got it. Texas on top for the first time since it was 1918 with 10.5 minutes to go in the first half. Roach with the block.
Stay aggressive.
Felix in rhythm. eBay keeps it alive. And Felix goes down for it, gets the held ball, and Texas with possession.
Yeah, Felix has got to be more willing to get on the floor early. I thought he was a little hesitant, and he paid the price.
Correction, UTA with the possession there.
Kalen Wilson did a great job. This is what we meant earlier about scrappiness. Watch him get on the floor early. Felix waiting to get on the floor. You got to have a willingness to get dirty, get your knees scuffed up a little bit. Every possession matters.
Trying to take the lead back. Hervey back in the game. And there's another potential three-point play as Hervey got eBay out into that uncomfortable territory and made him pay.
Yeah, and you never want to foul a jump shooter this far from the basket. Here you see eBay just swiping. This is really poor defense, not using his feet. Watch, swipe, and he paid the price. You know, you've got to move your feet, and eBay is talented enough and quick enough with his feet to use those, stay in front of his man.
Another three-point play for the Mavericks, and once again, we are tied. UTA taking the lead, 44-43.
Yeah, let's see if UT can maintain the level of aggression they had here of late.
Kendall Yancey back in the game, working on Faith Pope. The kick to Lambert. Three off back rim, rebound, Hervey.
Good job with the floor balance with Roach.
Hervey running the floor to Wilson. He draws the contact once again.
Yeah, it looked almost like a secondary break off of a fast break. This team, this UT-Arlington team, really does a nice job of, one, finding the open man, and two, attacking the basket at all times.
And this has been one of the problems with Prince eBay, staying out of foul trouble. Back-to-back possessions ending with fouls on Prince.
Yeah, he's just had a hard time this year so far. You know, with the fouls being called a little tighter. He's really paid the price, but
only played 5 minutes in the loss to Michigan because of foul trouble.
yeah, and he fouled out of at least 2 of their games, fouled out of the first game of the year.
Coach Smart's going to stick with him. Part of that, potentially, the foul trouble with Cam Ridley, sitting on the bench with 3 fouls.
Yeah, and it's a skill set for bigs to stay out of foul trouble. You've got to, especially now with the tighter calls being made, you've got to go straight up and make people finish over you. You can't put your body into drivers to the basket.
3-point lead with 13 minutes to go for the UTA Mavericks. Out of the Sun Belt Conference.
Yeah.
What were those coaches thinking when they selected them 8th in the preseason poll?
Yeah, they're back in the zone.
Tevin Mack off the mark. Kendall Yancey flying in for the rebound. Taylor, aggressive drive, gets it to go. And it's another 3-point opportunity for Texas.
Talk about a remedy. You talk about the panacea for the zone is to attack it. And no one's done that better than this young man here, Isaiah. Every chance he's gotten, he's attacked this zone. He doesn't want to take the three-point shot, and UT-Arlington knows that, but he's so crafty and good with the ball, he's almost impossible to keep out of the paint.
Palace picking up his 3rd foul. No, Palace and Bilbao. Both.
How about that ball movement?
That was nice to Kennedy Eubanks.
Boy, he's filled right in nicely for Bilbao. Freshman there with a big-time pass.
Alice with the feed to the senior, Kennedy Eubanks, who has his name called for the first time. It's been an entertaining game thus far. UTA has been game for everything Texas has thrown its way. Pope tries to keep that one alive. We're seeing the Mavericks staying in this one, and to this point, calling the shots. A little backdoor. Eubanks to give UTA the lead by 2. $11:57 left to go here at the Irwin Center, and Texas trying to erase the 2-point lead from UTA. It was a lead, Lance, at one point as big as 10 in the first half, but Texas has found a way back in this one, courtesy of really Isaiah Taylor. All his points, all 8 of them coming in the second half.
Yeah, and what Texas has not done the greatest job of is staying aggressive. They've allowed the score and the big dunk to dictate when they get aggressive. They've got to stay aggressive in this game. Here you see the field goal percentage improving here in the second half. I think it's because of their aggression and their looks at the rim.
Kendall Yancey, an open look. He's back. He's feeling good. His first bucket since suffering the concussion against Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Palace, second chance points once again. Answers back.
This is what I mean about the aggression. Both teams, UT-Arlington, I have not seen them let up or put their foot on the brakes, if you will. Texas has to make them pay. Here you see the gang rebounding that we talked about from UT-Arlington.
And you take a look at a guy like Nick Palace. I mean, he comes in off the bench, freshman from California, even though he hasn't had a lot of minutes this season, just picking his spots and really helping this UTA team.
Yeah, and Palace has filled in for big shoes in Bilbao and what he means to this team, as we've seen tonight. But Palace had very productive minutes there, not only scoring the ball, as we saw with the putback, but just the little things like backdoor passes and setting screens and just doing the little things that make this team special.
Palace to the bench with 4 fouls. Taylor can't make him pay. Still tied up at 50.
Got to make those free throws.
Again, that has been a source of much frustration for this Texas team. Hawkins with the drive. Second chance point. Say it again, Faith Pope keeping that play alive. And this is a scrappy UTA team that is taking the lead consistently back away from Texas, despite the fact that Eric Neal has 2 points.
Yeah, and how about this? Despite the fact that their 2 best players are not on the floor. When you talk about the confidence that this coaching staff has in this roster, Neal and Hervey sitting on the bench right now, and this team is controlling this game. Watch the drive in the seam, takes the little bump, but then you get gang rebounding. Then Pope, watch Pope slide in right behind here. I mean, this team is extremely impressive. I mean, when you look at them, they don't scare you a whole lot. I mean, we saw them in warm-ups. They're not very big or imposing, but just a great example of how good you can be when you come together. And I think Coach Smart talked about it in his press conference yesterday. He talked about being connected.
Yeah.
And he thought that was an important part of this Texas team being good. And I think he's facing a team tonight that is connected. In spite of size differences and positions and height, this is a very good ball club that's extremely connected.
UTA in double bonus for the rest of the way, so every time there's a foul, they're shooting 2. 6 straight points for the Mavericks.
And this isn't a cameo by Coach Cross, leaving these stars on the bench. I mean, he's truly playing this lineup. Texas is having their hands full with it.
Felix corner 3, got it. And it's down to a 1-point UTA lead.
Yeah, you've got to maintain your aggression when they want to press like that. Excellent shot there by Felix.
He's a leading scorer for Texas with 11 points. Leads all scorers at that. Charles and Hervey leading UTA with 10 each.
Texas has got to play strong here in this late clock situation. No silly fouls.
I'm going to say out of bounds on Bilbao. He was in position, though, to potentially get another offensive rebound.
Yes, he was. Their weak side offensive rebounders are just excellent. They really have a knack for knowing where to be. Texas with a big break there.
16-9 edge on the offensive glass for UTA. As Isaiah Taylor picks up the foul. We were talking to Coach Cross before the game, and he says that's one of the things that surprised him even as a head coach, how good this team is at rebounding. And you look at the numbers, they are 11th in D1 in offensive rebounding percentage.
Yeah, I think a big part of that is because of the way that they play offense. They get you really spread out on the floor, and you gotta run a long way if you're gonna help or get into a passing lane, and then they beat you from the backside. You've got to watch everyone on the defense, on the offensive end for them, because they really do a great job of crashing the boards.
Cross played his college hoops at UTA. He's a longtime assistant. And he's now in his 10th season as the head coach. 5 wins away from becoming the all-time winningest. As Isaiah Taylor goes to the line, hits 2, and Texas grabs that lead back 55-54.
Yeah, and you saw that graphic. There's no surprise that they have the success they have. He's been there a long time and knows this program extremely well and has the kind of people and players that he wants in the program.
Says he got about 150 texts, answered them all after the win at Ohio State. As an opportunity wasted there. As Holland had possession, lost it. The ball then bounces off Texas out of bounds, so UTA will keep possession.
And not only is this team connected, they don't give up on anything, on any plays. I mean, you would have thought that was a turnover for Texas. They stay with it, get the ball back in their control.
But to bring up Coach Cross, season number 10, program in place. His philosophy has been passed down from different classes. And then talking to Coach Smart, as he's related this to basically installing a new operating system. It's everything new. Every aspect of this program to players that have been in the Rick Barnes system for a very long time. They're not talking about young players. 3 on the clock. Neal dishes. Corner 3. It beats the buzzer, no good. Ridley with the rebound. Felix in a hurry, gets the bucket. And Texas with a 3-point lead. Felix with 13 points.
I bet if there's a way to measure the aggression, Texas is shooting 60-65% every time they're aggressive with the ball, maybe as high as 70%.
Neal breaks the Texas defense. Good ball movement to Hervey, and Hervey long on that 3.
Well, when you do a one-man break here, you don't give them a chance to pressure the ball. Felix wasn't the fastest break, but it was an aggressive break. Moving at a maneuverable speed, takes a slight bump. Nice job.
And this is big here. Foul on the floor on Cam Ridley. That's number 4. UTA in the double bonus. So Bilbao to the line to shoot 2.
Lowell, you bring up a very good point with this Texas team. And Coach Smart's point about installing an operating system. There being quirks and bumps in that process. And I think this team that we're seeing now here at UT, it will not be the same team by the time we get to conference play. They need a few more reps of playing with different lineups and understanding what Coach Smart is trying to accomplish, and I really think they'll get there. They've got high character and a good group of guys.
Coach Smart never said it was going to happen overnight. Even said stylistically, it takes a little time. People have asked about his team here at Texas pressing more. And he said because of that mentality that you really have to build from within. It's part of the reason why his first 2 teams at VCU, they didn't press nearly as much as the teams that followed them.
Yeah, it takes time, and it takes guys getting comfortable and used to one another and what coach is trying to accomplish.
Taylor called for the travel.
It's of no surprise this game is close here late. Again, both of these teams are going to force the other to hang around. You've got to make smart plays, take care of the ball here late. I think it could come down to protecting those rebounds, particularly on the offensive end of the floor.
Feels like both teams are waiting to have that moment to spark them for the home stretch. 8 on the clock. Charles, the feed inside to Wilson. Prince eBay there to affect that shot. And like you were mentioning, protect the glass. Texas does not, and Hervey's going to go to the line with an opportunity for 3.
If I didn't know better, I would think I was looking at a young Dennis Rodman. Look at, the highlight didn't show it, but he tipped that ball to himself from behind the offensive player. Let's see here. Who is it? Prince eBay, who's, okay, it wasn't, I think it was Prince. He tipped the ball to himself and then got the and one. Yeah, this game has been about offensive rebounds for both teams, but particularly for this Arlington team.
UTA takes the lead back. They're up by 1. Hervey with his 4th double-double in 7 games. 13 points, 11 rebounds.
Yeah, here you see.
13 on the clock. Felix pump fake, fires the 3. Hervey with the rebound.
Well, he's an excellent rebounder. He gets the ball almost at its height where no one else can get it but him.
Cross said that progress he made from the freshman to sophomore year was better than any player he's ever been around. Misses the 3, eBay gets the rebound, and Kalen Wilson is holding his throat, trailing on the play as Javon Felix is helping Texas stay in this one and gives them the lead back. 4 of 8 from 3-point range, leading everybody with 16 points.
Oh, yeah, this is special. Knock it down, big fella. Got to stay aggressive.
Texas men's basketball on Longhorn Network is presented by Bud Light. Make the right call. Drink responsibly.
Lance, we've been watching Javon Felix for years now in practice. He has consistently hit shots in practice, but this, by far the most consistent we've ever seen him from the outside.
Yeah, he's been very impressive since he's been injected into the starting lineup. And this is something Texas is going to need definitely tonight and all season long.
Steal, only the 2nd for Texas in the game. Felix has scored 8 of the last 10 for the Longhorns.
Yeah, and he's going to keep them honest, that being Arlington here going forward.
Working it inside to Prince.
I'm not sure that's where you want the ball.
Considering there were 3 or 4 blue jerseys there. But eBay scrapping to make that happen. In transition, what a feed from Roach to Taylor. Will not get the bucket to go, but will go to the line for 2.
Well, I thought Texas really missed an opportunity there throwing that ball in. Here you see another blue jersey on the floor, and eBay decides to get on it with him on the floor. Gotta be willing to give up your body at times to get the basketball.
Isaiah Taylor, 5 of 7 from the free throw line. He's got 11 points. Makes it a 3-point lead for Texas.
And this is an area, as we talked about earlier, where Texas has struggled. In order to win a game like this one tonight, they're going to have to make free throws down the stretch. Something that they've struggled with here in this early part of the season.
Taylor makes them both. He came up a little ginger on that right ankle once again. 75% from the charity stripe this season. Roach takes a bench. Another freshman takes his place. Eric Davis now into the game for Texas.
Well, and Isaiah's hurt, so they'll be interesting to watch him down the stretch. He's gritting it out. But I think he's a little ginger on that right ankle from the early sprain.
Yeah, jogging back from that second made free throw. Looked like he started to favor it there, and Bilbao is going to go to the line.
Yeah, Bilbao, such a smart player there. He knows he had no chance of finishing over eBay. If we see that again, you'll see he literally goes just to draw the contact to make sure he can get a look at it from the free throw line.
Bilbao misses the first.
Yeah, you'll see here Watch, eBay's not going to even be in the front of the basket, but he goes into him and creates that contact. Just a smart move. He'd rather take a chance at his 68% free throw shooting.
Bilbao splits him. Got a 3-point lead for Texas. Once again, the press from UTA.
This game, to me, has been about offensive rebounds with UT-Arlington having the advantage. Texas has got to pay them back by being aggressive here on the offensive end and crashing the boards collectively as a unit.
Taylor with 4 on the clock. And they're going to get an offensive foul.
Right call. There was nothing there. Taylor got a little jammed up. Maybe should have made the pass or dribble earlier. Eric Davis was open in the corner.
Foul called on Isaiah Taylor. Push off, 2 fouls for Isaiah. We talked about the rebounding. Goes back to the point of emphasis for the Mavericks as Hervey throws that one away. Said that they wanted to neutralize the rebounding edge for Texas. They've done that. Also want to keep Cam Ridley from really having his way close to the basket. Would you say they've done that as well?
Yeah, I think they've done about as good a job as they could have done with Ridley. I mean, and having him on the bench at this point of the game is a big bonus for them as well.
Still, with all that said, Texas holds the 3-point lead. Numbers advantage for Texas. Throwing it up to Prince eBay is Davis. He's going to kick it back out to Felique, slow this one, settle it down just a little bit.
I think Texas, though, they control the game, but you've got to maintain a level of aggression because Arlington is going to attack them both offensively and defensively. We know what it's been like on the boards.
4 on the clock. There's a foul on the floor. And Bilbao picking up number 4.
Yeah, and that eBay struggles from the line, so if he can at least get one here, make it a 2-possession game.
Now 0 for 3 from the stripe this season.
We got a lane violation, which will bode well for Texas.
Ridley with another opportunity. eBay checked out with another opportunity.
Yeah, they've made a couple of mental errors here. Arlington has something we haven't seen most of the night.
That one is short. So eBay now 0 for 3 from the line. 3-point game, 5 minutes left. Will one of these two teams find a spark like the Roach dunk at the end of the first half and go on a run? Open, corner 3, pump fake from Charles, misses. Rebound Jones, and another foul.
I mean, that's been the difference in the game to me is that the offensive rebounding, again, getting Texas spread out. Here you see white jerseys all over the floor. Jones just steps in, gets the rebound as it comes down. I mean, they're 58 to 46 lead in terms of opportunities at the basket. FGAs, field goals attempted, which is a big number. I mean, you're getting 12 more looks than your opponent. To me, that's the difference in the game, Lowell.
And do you see the elevation from Jones there? 6'3", yet he's averaging 5 rebounds per game this season.
Yeah, and I mean, that's
and here's another big break for UTA.
Yeah, each time they're getting an extra look here late at the basket. Something you're not going to be able to do against a team this big, I mean, this good, and have a chance to win the game.
Shaka Smart has said Texas has been pretty good at first shot defense. It's been after that, finishing possessions. His coaching staff constantly telling this team, reward yourself, get the rebound and go play some offense. Jones with the miss.
Look who's on the floor.
Bilbao, Hervey there. That's Powers and Hervey there.
Yeah, and if there were a stat for getting on the floor, I think Arlington would be leading in that.
And it's everybody. The stars.
That's right.
As well as the guys coming off the bench.
Yeah, in every phase, they've attacked. But in spite of all of this, Texas has the lead, which is for them most important to come out with this win. You know, in Texas's defense, this is not an easy team to play simply because of the way they play. Somewhat of a non-traditional style. So many smalls on the court. In fact, their bigs aren't really your traditional bigs, including Hervey in the way that he plays out on the floor.
Second attempt from Taylor. Gets out one to go. Free throws picked up in the second half of this game. 33 combined by the two teams. Texas shooting 67% from the free throw line in the game. The edge once again to UTA at 76%. Jones, the drive on Lambert.
Yeah, he was
out of control.
Good job by Lambert moving his feet. We talked about it earlier with eBay. Lambert moves his feet, and then Jones is like a torpedo. Watch him put his chest right in the, his shoulder right in the middle of Lambert's chest. Here you'll see it. Excellent job of moving his feet, Lambert.
Connor Lambert very quietly, one of the key players to this team. Darren Horn, who's focused on the coaching staff as an assistant, is with the bigs. Says that Lambert could be the most important player on this team because of his ability to stretch the court, do the little things like we just saw.
Yeah, as a stretch four man, he's just got to maintain his aggression when he gets looks beyond the arc. Keep the defense honest.
Felix breaking down Neal, step back, gets it to go. This is turning into Javon Felix's show. He's got 18 points. Texas with a 5-point lead with 3.5 minutes left, trying to close it out against UTA. The skip to Neal, and Neal has been quiet. 0 for 5 from three-point range until that hit. And it's once again a 2-point lead. Entertaining second half. We've gone back and forth, but Javon Felix helping Texas keep that edge. But the answer from Neal. We got 3.5 left to go.
This game, especially considering the fact that they've wanted him to shoot threes, Felix has also been one of the co-stars, if not the star of this game, with his poise and finding space and knocking down shots. 18 points in the game, incredibly important, especially with the way that they've shot as a team of late. It's nice to have a guy that you know you can go to on the perimeter.
Felix and Taylor have combined for 23 of the second half points for Texas. With all of the points, 14 of them from Isaiah Taylor coming in the second half.
Lowell, a lot of counter-punching in this game, starting with these two, Isaiah and Felix, doing a great job of attacking this Arlington team.
Roach baseline, gets it to Ridley, who has re-entered the game, working with 4 fouls. And we are going to see Ridley go to the line for 2. Going to take a break to get back with Big Cam at the line when we return.
My name is...
7 lead changes in the second half. Texas with a 2-point lead with 3 minutes left. Let's go down to Jane Slater. Jane, what's happening in that Texas huddle?
Well, the tone has changed finally. You know, they've basically been telling these guys in the first half that they are playing timid. He wanted them to play more aggressive. He reminded them constantly this is going to be a 40-minute fight, and it's proven to be that. I was just over there a couple minutes ago. He's finally liking what he's seeing from the team. They're playing aggressive, and essentially what he's told them is, you know what, you just got to make control of this game at this point. Guys, back to you.
We even saw a little smile from Shaka Smart there, even in the heat of the moment, as Ridley misses his first of 2.
Free throws and offensive rebounding will be the keys to this game. There you see with the miss, Texas has got to make these free throws down the stretch in this game if they want to come out with a victory.
Cam misses both. Those are 2 big misses for Texas. 3 minutes left. Horns holding on to the 2-point lead. Neal just got going with a three-pointer. Spinning out, checking the clock, 7 seconds. Neal pulls up in the face of Cam Ridley. Taylor with the rebound, but they're gonna call him for a travel. And the Irwin Center crowd does not like the call, nor does Shaka Smart.
Yeah, I couldn't see it. I was blocked. Couldn't see what the official was seeing.
Well, you can see he's carrying it there. He's showing a little stiff arm as well.
Here, let's take a look. Oh, it's a good call. I thought it was the right call. The ball got stuck.
I think Shaka wanted a foul, though, on Charles. Hervey inside, and what goes around comes around. Travel on Hervey.
You know, and I want to speak to that. Shaka does a great job of not getting sidetracked with the officials. A lot of coaches will work the refs all night long. He really sets a good example and does a good job of staying engaged with his players and staying into the game versus getting sidetracked with the calls, because the calls are going to be what they're going to be.
2:22 left. Texas finds himself in a dogfight against the UT-Arlington Mavericks. 5-1 on the season. They've won in Columbus against Ohio State. 3 nights later in Memphis against the Memphis Tigers. They are not to be overlooked, and Texas did not take them lightly from the get-go. Felix, one-on-one pull-up over Jones. Lambert, the follow, almost threw it down. Neal runs into a brick wall, and they're going to call a foul on Javon Felix.
Yeah, you got to like the effort by Lambert, but Texas has to have floor balance where they're in position there.
I don't know, unless they called Roach.
Well, they call that on Felix. Here you see Lambert on the miss. with the right hand. Unable to finish. This game, Lowell, has all the makings for a last possession type game.
You're right about that.
You see so many of these over the course of a season. This game feels like one of those games that'll come down to the last possession. Well, every possession here is critical, whether it be taking care of the ball, offensive rebounds in general, and free throws.
So Neal with the last 5 points for UTA. We are tied up at 65 with 1:45 left to play.
Interesting. Well, they've lived with this press pretty much all night long, disrupting Texas's offense.
So this is something we've talked about before. When the game's on the line, who is your go-to guy for offense? Taylor answering that call. He's been hot in the second half, all 16 points after the break.
And how about the aggression? I mean, he just created a basket there. UT-Arlington was in position. Watch the quick feed down the baseline. Not a lot of help. The help comes over late. Well, that was an impressive basket there. From behind the basket, he has no angle.
Wow.
Essentially creates one. And I believe he was fouled on that by Bilbao when he shot the layup.
So, Jane, we're looking at the score, and it's a very close game. But UTA, they have a case to have another point in this game, don't they, Jane?
Well, they do, Lowell, and as you said, in a close game, every point counts. UTA told me they are not happy about that first half 3 losses to 2. UTA tried to challenge it, but they told me the official said they can't check a shot rolled a 2-pointer, but they could have if it was a 3. So that's kind of interesting, Lowell.
Very interesting. Very interesting. And you see from the look there, it clearly was a 3-pointer from Hervey. 2-point lead for Texas, 1:16.
And that 3 could prove to be the difference in winning and losing. I mean, this game, every possession is extremely critical, especially with 1:10 here on the clock.
And UTA has been living in this double bonus. After that foul, another opportunity to tie the game here. And they've got their go-to guy, Hervey, 89% free throw shooter. He's 3 of 4 from the stripe tonight. Has the first one.
I talked to you about this earlier, Lowell. I truly believe every player on either team and both coaches and staff feel like they should be winning this game or should win this game.
Yeah.
And that makes for a good ending because both of these teams are committed to the process here down the stretch.
Hervey gets them both. We are tied up at 67.
And this, what could prove to be the difference in the game is getting the ball out of Isaiah's hands. You've got to figure out a way to get the ball in his hands, even if he's not going to be the guy to score the ball. Certainly you want him to touch the ball to facilitate, either him or Felix.
We saw the timeout called there from Davis. He had 4 seconds to get across half court. Heads up play. Instead of forcing something, calls the timeout. What's going on in the huddle at this point, Lance?
Yeah, and what your 10-second clock will restart for getting it over into the front court. And you basically turn it into an NBA shot clock. You got 24 seconds to make a play.
If it's not Isaiah Taylor, what's the next best option for you?
I mean, you got, actually, this has been the case all night long. You've got 5 guys, and when I say all night, UT-Arlington has everyone in a position to where they can score. Well, now UT has 5 guys that can score the ball. I think your next best and most obvious, Lowell, to answer your question is Felix. Simply, he's got the ball now, but simply because he's had the hot hand. But I wouldn't be surprised if any of these other guys got a pretty good look.
Very good offensive 5 for Texas on the court. Corner 3 from Lambert. No good. Rebound Charles. 43 seconds left.
And what does Texas do here? I got a sneaky suspicion that it'll be either Hervey or Neal taking this shot. Texas can't foul. You've got to keep yourself between the basket and your man.
Irwin Center on its feet.
Got the switch.
Neal the drive. Ridley the rebound. Shot clock is off. And Lambert lays a huge screen on Neal.
No timeout. Doesn't want the defense to get set.
Texas can have the final shot. Taylor to the rim. Blocked by Bilbao. Neal beats the buzzer. No good.
Overtime.
And we are going to overtime in the Irwin Center.
Who didn't know that? Who didn't know this game was going to be an overtime? I mean, it had that.
You tried to tell people, Lance.
No, I mean, it just had that feeling. Here late, came down to the final shot.
And what do you think about the look?
I thought, you know what I like in that? I thought that's what you had to do. It wasn't necessarily a call other than to have the ball in Isaiah's hand to create a basket. But I tell you, Lowell, both teams did a great job defensively.
Yeah.
Lowell tied up 67 all, man. A lot of fun, a lot of basketball.
Are you not entertained?
Hey, Mom.
We are going to overtime, tied up at 67. But Lance, Texas had the basketball in their possession. Opportunity to end this one before Roach.
Yeah, I thought it was a good job not calling the screen. And then you see all the blue jerseys did a very good job of staying between Isaiah and the basket. And it looked like it was almost a brush screen. It wasn't a clean pick that they switched, and just Bilbao did a good job of going straight up. We talked about that, not going into the man. And I thought Texas did a good job on the other end.
So we are going to overtime for the first time since Texas beat Baylor in March of last season. Both teams with their first OT games of the young season.
You know, these are 2 great coaches, 2 very good coaches. And I thought they did the right thing in putting the ball in their best perimeter players' hands. That being Neal, tried to get him to create off of this pick and roll. They got a switch with Ridley that didn't end in a basket, and then Texas tried something similar that didn't end in a basket. But I thought it was the right thing, Lowell, to put the ball in your best players' hands.
Foul trouble, something to pay attention to. Ridley with 4. Bilbao and Palace with 4 as well for UTA as Neal comes away with the opening tip. 5 minutes on the clock in OT. Hervey working on Ridley, now Lambert. Patient approach from UTA. Clock winding down. Neal trying to break down Felix, and it's another one of those odd bounces off the outstretched hands of Ridley right to Bilbao for the bucket.
I don't know if that was just being good or lucky.
Sometimes it's okay.
But Texas had every opportunity to come up with a steal, and again, Bilbao in the right place at the right time. He just has a knack for that.
And really, the box score doesn't do justice to the impact he has in games for UTA.
At all.
But then again, the box score overall really doesn't do justice for this UTA team. Davis corner 3. Ridley tips it out to Javon Felix. A new 30 seconds for Texas.
Yeah, it's a great point you make about the box score and their statistics. Only in rebounding do they jump off the page at you, but other than that, this is just a really good team with a lot of intangibles.
They've won 3 games this season, shooting 38% or worse. And in this game, shooting 35%. As we see the make, looked like Ridley was there, but Bilbao got the bounce.
Yeah, and how can you shoot 35% and stay in the game? It's because you've shot the ball 63 times compared to your opponent shooting it 51 times because of your offensive rebounding.
Ridley gets the roll over Hervey. And we're tied once again. Lead changes galore. Physical move to the basket. And they're going to say Jalen Jones got the elbow out there. And Isaiah Taylor took it.
Yeah, Isaiah did a great job here. This is called floor balance. He gets back. You put that shoulder down. Isaiah takes the charge. This is something they work on consistently in practice. So I'm sure for coaching staff, it's nice to see it paying off, especially with the amount of work that they put into taking charges, that being the Texas Longhorns.
Taylor did a good job of selling that one as well. There was contact. Accentuated it just a little bit.
Yeah, that's part of the game.
Yes, sir. 3:08 remaining in overtime at the Irwin Center. Felix, your leading scorer with 18. 21 denied. And Lambert hustling for that rebound. Not able to save it. Ball going back to UTA.
Yeah, and I like the aggression, though. Texas has to make sure here in this overtime that they find bodies and keep people off the glass for UT-Arlington. They, as you pointed out, they don't shoot a high percentage, only shooting the mid-30s from the floor, but they make their living off of second chance opportunities.
Not quite as much offense for Texas now with Holland and eBay entering the game. Kerwin Roach is back, and remember, he was the spark for Texas. They were down by 10 until he put down that thunderous dunk in transition to spark a late run to end the half. Bilbao going to the line once again, continues to make plays.
Yeah, there he is again. And they don't really even call plays at times. They just spread you out. Maybe you saw Neal beat Roach, the defender. Here he's got Roach spread out. Lambert goes to help, and eBay's got to sink down and get inside of Bilbao, and he's one of the best I've seen in a long time at maximizing what he has talent-wise and putting himself in a position to impact the offensive side of the floor.
You see his socks, Lance?
How about those?
He's got black socks with pink stripes. I guess that's how it's done in Spain.
Yeah.
Bilbao gets it both. It's a 2-point lead for UTA. 8 points for Bilbao, all in the second half and in overtime.
Yeah, they're going to do everything they can to get Isaiah to give this up. Smart move, keeping the ball and beating the pressure. Bilbao working to deny Ridley the ball.
Taylor wants to take him. He's going to draw the foul on Eric Neal.
Yeah, and it looks like Coach Smart, what he's doing now is doing offense-defense. Here you see he's about to sub in basically his longer defensive unit on the floor with these free throws. So it's truly a chess match here going down the stretch.
Texas had hit only one of their last 5 free throw attempts. Taylor gets his first, and we're seeing the defense re-enter the game.
Yeah, it's turned into every single possession wanting to have your best unit for the type of possession that you're involved in terms of offense or defense.
Taylor gets them both. He's got 18, all 18 coming in the second half. Texas turns up the pressure. Holland on Jones at midcourt.
As you get a late clock, there's no reason to get out of position or commit a foul and bail them out. This team is too smart and savvy. Force them to make a great play.
Neal nearly loses it. Prince Ebe with the block. Shot clock violation in those substitutions. Offense, defense paying off right there for Texas.
Yeah, credit Coach Smart for getting the right guys on the court, and credit the defense here. Here you see Neal tries to split the defender coming off of the screen and roll. Good job by Texas there, not allowing them to get a shot off.
8 blocks for Texas. Falik scrambling. Slows it down after getting the rock to Lambert. Back in control. And the pause of Isaiah Taylor.
Yeah, I see some guys breathing hard too. Conditioning may become somewhat of a factor here as we get late in this overtime.
This is when Daniel Roos pays off. As Connor Lambert still has the legs, still has the stroke, and Texas has a 3-point lead.
Yeah, finds the right guy, and he doesn't hesitate to take the 3.
Hervey in and out. And wow, just with the realization in this moment, going back to that 3-point from Hervey, that was ruled 2. They could not do anything about. That's the difference in the game at this point.
Yeah, that's something that Arlington won't want to hear. But you're absolutely correct. But I'll tell you, this team is aggressive, so you've got to play the entire overtime out if you want a chance to win.
Back-to-back threes. One from the senior, followed by one from the freshman. And the Irwin Center is on fire.
Yeah, and credit Coach Smart for having the right people on the floor. He's got his offense on the floor. Have Isaiah make the play. Lambert, all you've got to do is shoot the wide open look. And then who makes this play? Lambert finds the freshman Davis in the corner, who doesn't hesitate, knocks down the 3. Lambert knocked down the first 3, Davis the second. But credit Coach Smart for having the right guys on the floor at the right time with the offensive, defensive move here late in the overtime.
Texas with an 8-zip run to take their largest lead of the night. Connor Lambert entered this game with only 1 assist. He is known as being one of the best passers on this Texas team. One of the reasons why the assists weren't coming for him, because the shots were not falling. They start to fall here, and Lambert with 3 assists tonight. And here's the 3, Lance.
Yeah, and he doesn't hesitate. We talked about this all game long. Whenever they were aggressive, I felt like this was a better Texas team. I bet on their aggressive offensive plays, if you will, they shot well into the mid to high 60s. So hesitating and allowing Arlington to dictate in the first half in terms of being aggressive once they broke the press. So I thought the difference in this game, this second half, has been UT's aggressiveness, particularly on the offensive end, led by Isaiah and Felix.
And you look up, and Texas is shooting 46%. Most of that accuracy coming in the second half of this game.
Yeah, and I think this game, to me, of all the games, the previous 5 games that they played in, particularly in the second half, this is where I've seen them be the most aggressive. Up until this point, I've seen them be a little more hesitant, questioning passes, questioning shots. And I know Coach Smart knows that. In fact, he talked about that in the press conference at some level. And they can't play as if every shot's a game winner. And I think in this second half, they freed themselves up and been a lot more comfortable.
UTA has been tested. And then in moments like this where they've needed an answer this season, can they find one or two of them in the final 36 seconds? Hervey with the rebound. Bilbao no good. Connor Lambert securing the rebound. And Isaiah Taylor is going to go to line to put the icing on the cake here for Texas in overtime.
Well, yeah, I thought this was an excellent game played by two very well-coached teams and two very good teams. And I also felt like each coach got as much as he could get out of his team.
Yeah.
It's really good basketball.
Taylor has 18, all of them in the second half. Shaka Smart is looking at his team, climbing back to 500. Looking to get above there later this week when they take on Samford on Friday. For UTA, they got North Texas and UTEP up next.
Yeah, this is a team that I certainly would be worried about if I had to play and they were on my schedule if I was a college coach. Just a very good, well-coached ball club. Both teams, but certainly you typically don't expect UT-Arlington to be as good as they've been tonight. And they've really shown it consistently, beating Memphis, and going into Ohio State and beating them, and just a really good team.
Well, you know, this one has to hurt for Scott Cross. The way it went down, the Hervey three-pointer did ultimately, going at everything up, should have given UTA the 1-point edge at the end of the regulation instead of going into overtime. But the officials recognized their mistake. Unfortunately, it was to the point where there was nothing they could do to go back and correct that mistake.
Yeah, with all the rules changes and watching games and trying to get it right, you hate to see a team lose that way, but the rules are what they are, Lowell.
So Texas taking down UT-Arlington 80-75 in overtime. Texas making the record 3-3 on the young season. Road Warriors now back at home, as this was the first of the season-long 5-game homestand. In OT, Texas really got it done from distance.
Yeah, and I thought this team was special, particularly as the game wore on. They really met the challenge. Here you see Lambert with the impressive snap of the ball for the three-point shot, and then the freshman. I mean, Shaka really has a lot of confidence in these young guys. Davis knocks down the big-time three. It was a collective effort from everyone tonight. This is a big win. I think this is something that they can hang their hat on going forward, that Texas can take this kind of aggression and confidence into games going forward.
They were tested and they responded. Texas ends the game on 11-4 run to take the win from UTA 80-75. Horns are now up as Texas with another victorious edition of the Eyes of Texas. Taylor, your leading scorer with 21 points, but Lance, what did Javon Felix mean for this Texas win?
Well, I thought he meant the difference in the game, particularly because of his shooting and his poise on the perimeter. And any time you got a guy shooting the ball like this and making the defense pay attention to you, not only earlier, but all night long, teammates were finding him. And this is something I think this Texas club has needed. And not only did he make shots, he shot them confidently. So even his misses were confident misses.
He is the dependable player of the game, powered by the Chevy Silverado. Off to a great start to his senior year. Let's hear from him with Jane Slater.
Javon, how would you describe this game and this opponent?
Well, first of all, we knew that UTA was going to be a really good team. They had 2 good road wins against Memphis and Ohio State. So we knew that they were going to come out and play really aggressive. They were really confident. And, you know, we knew what they could do. We scouted them really well. Coaches did a good job of, you know, showing us their plays and showing us what they like to do. So we knew it was going to be a fight. I mean, Coach Smart put on the board before the game 40 minutes. And it took more than that tonight.
You managed to come up with 18 points in a game where UTA wasn't making it easy to get some of those scores. Yeah. How would you describe your game tonight?
I was just being aggressive. I shot the ball when I was open, and Coach Smart, he was encouraging me to keep shooting, and I was doing that. Isaiah did a really good job getting people good shots, and then he closed the game out for us, and, you know, that's all we can ask from him.
Congratulations on a hard-fought win tonight. Guys, back to you.
Thank you.
Jan, thank you so much. Our final score is Texas 80, UT-Arlington 73. Be sure to tune in to Longhorn Network tomorrow at 7 Central as the 6th-ranked Texas women take on number 9 Mississippi State. Up next, it's Longhorn Extra.